or two, we've been going back to this little statement. I've seen it before, but I found it in one of my little booklets I got in Tiruvannamalai when I was there at the Ramana Maharshi ashram. And he explains the dynamics of self-inquiry. Now, we're not going to talk about the self-inquiry. That's not the point. The point is what's revealed. And because many people have a little misunderstanding about it, and I think he clarified it quite well, where he says the one who's asking, "Who am I?" and the one, can you hear me? All right, the one that's asking, "Who am I?" and the one that's being asked are both not us. Yes, this is the negation of duality. The duality of us. They call it dualism, really, when it's personal. That dualism of us is captured in that statement, being brought into stark contrast through self-inquiry. So the one who's going to go, well, who are you? And the one that may respond and say, me, is both not us. Yeah, very important in a way, because this is the essence of the activity of non-duality. We're not talking about the stagnant absoluteness of non-duality, but the activity of non-duality is here in this event, not the satsang, but the living, is a negation of duality. That's the activity of it, yeah? The fact of non-duality is the activity of negating duality, because the awareness that we are, which is basically the allness of non-duality, that awareness is seeing the one who's asking, who am I, and also the one who's asked, who am I. I don't mean seeing with eyes, because there's no one there, but awareness, yes? So that awareness sees the two aspects being brought into contrast by this simple question, who am I, or from whence do we come? Yeah, those two things appear. Yeah, now the funny thing is, they don't believe they're the same, obviously. So that which is being asked does not believe it's that which is asking, yet it is. Yeah, there's no thing that they are, but they are the same activity, but two sides of the same coin, so to speak. Yes, and so no matter how many times you cut the coin or emphasize one side, it's always going to be aligned with the other side. Yes, so this happens when people get introduced to seeing the objective self, this idea of Paul, from a subjective self. They start thinking the subjective self is the witness or the observer. Yeah. And then they get frustrated because the witness seems to be getting splashed with a lot of dirt from what it's observing. Yeah. And they think they would have a removal of what's going on as the great observer or the witness. Yeah. But that isn't true, because the observing and the witnessing has been claimed, and now the same aspect that's being looked at is saying it's the one that's looking. Yeah, this is the dynamic of dualism. This is the dynamic or the activity of non-duality and duality. Yeah, so non-duality is to negate duality. That's all it is. That's the point. Yeah, it's not a thing upon itself, because it's all whatever. Yeah, incomprehensible, indescribable, unknowable. But what we're not is quite knowable, can be described, and it can be described very clearly as an activity called selfing. Really, that's really what it is. It's an activity, a mental one in nature, of selfing. Yeah? So the selfing goes on and on and on, and there's an assumption that you arrive at, if you follow it, as that there's someone, there's a self, and then the self is presupposed before the selfing. And so when you learn about selfing, you'll think you've been doing it, or it's been fucking with you all day. Yes? You see it? You don't need 800,000 pages. You need a few examples so that there's a recognition of what's going on from what is all there is. Yes, because the whole point of non-duality rests in the fact that we are reality. We are reality. As Ramana said many times, being ourselves reality, the greatest mystery is reality wanting to attain reality. Yeah. So what we do here is the reality of duality is this sense of subject that suddenly becomes objectified and another subject appears. They call it the policeman thief syndrome. It just goes on. Yeah. So a lot of people get to see one aspect of self, and then they have a sense that they're going to get a lot of relief, and then the relief doesn't show up because they're looking for the relief from the other aspect of self. Yes. So now the thief has been individualized, and now it's appearing as the policeman, which is observing the thief. Yeah. And for some people who have experienced both roles, actually the thief is more fun in a way, though the consequences are heavy. At least you have some fun every once in a while. The policeman is like a big thick, stick up your ass, and it's like perfection is now looming ever present, and you're not doing enough, you should have done it better. It's just so, it's like another form of getting whipped. Yeah. So this is an important thing, because the logic, it doesn't make sense to the logic. It doesn't make sense that, it makes sense that one of those things, either that which is being asked, who am I, is not us, but not both. Not the one that's asking it, because we usually feel the one that asking it is our real, authentic self, and we're going to try to keep negating the false self, but they're the same. Yeah. So basically, the self-inquiry negates both aspects. Yeah. And then when they both suddenly seem not to take the next breath, there still is something. Yes. When they're both negated, there still is something. And that something didn't arise just when the selfing is negated. It's always available at all times. Yeah. It's the undergirding, it's the basics, it's the context of this imagined content. Yeah. So it isn't about seeing the thief, it's seeing the thief and the policeman. Yes. If you catch the thief is just going to appear in a different garb, which is the police uniform. If you have the understanding, so after the crime is solved and you think you got the thief, the case is still open, because you're going to realize the policeman is part and parcel of the crime. Yeah. So we don't close the case. I finally realized what I'm not. No. There's someone else coming too. We see what we're not, and then that seeing of what we're not is claimed very quickly, and it's presented in this example as the policeman. And now the seeing of what we're not has become a seer of what we're not. Yeah. And there's the bonding agent occurs again. Yes. On and on and on. So remember, this is not non-you, it's non-duality. The you that you think is singular, long-lasting, independent, separate thing isn't. It's an activity, a dualistic activity. To get relief from that activity, you can't, half measures isn't gonna work. It hasn't for most people, or you wouldn't be here really at this talk. Yeah. So there's a negation and a negation. Yeah. You don't do the negation. You're not that what's asking, who am I? And you're not which is being asked, who am I? Beautiful. The head cannot see that, because it believes there's a doer somewhere. Either the witness, that's a subtle doing, the observer, that's a subtle doing. Its logic cannot see an action without arriving at an actor. It just doesn't. So you see the emperor with no clothes. You get a picture of it with his pants down, And then anytime it wears different garb and wardrobes, you just remember it with those pants down. It gives you, it just works. Yeah. So I'm going to beat this for a while, I guess, until something changes. But because there's another one, but I was too lazy to look around the the last book I have on Ramana Maharshi. I don't know if you know Ryanair in Europe. Ryanair is a trippy airline, super cheap, but you basically have to go on with no clothes on. You know, if you're 1 kilo over, they charge you $150. So the last time I went to London to see Richard here, I ripped the pages of the Ramana Maharshi that were pertinent to me. I took about 8 pages instead of the whole book. So I don't know where. There's a point where he talks about this conundrum that why would you have to use what you're not, yeah, to ask what you're not, yeah? And he says, don't fucking think about it. It's just the way it works. Basically, paraphrasing it. Yeah, this is, I remember I read it on one of the pages because it's confusing. You would think, wait a minute, why would there be a need of asking whatsoever if you are that? Because you're not. It's another methodology, a trick that will bring both of them out, not just the thief emphasized while the policeman's roaming around, but both, yeah? And so you can see that you can become aware of what non-duality actually is in an action, yeah? Instead of having a conceptual fucking, metaphysical 12 rings of shit like that, you get to see the activity of duality and in seeing it, its own negating of itself, which is beautiful. Yeah. It negates itself. If you bring the thief and the policeman into the same room, their singular identities get negated and you see it's the same. Yeah. As long as it's one coming after the other, it's sort of like that story where these 2 policemen are investigating this serial killer. And then they're finally thinking they're on the trail. And they go to this neighborhood. And one of the policemen, oh, this is familiar, this place. And then they go into an apartment house. He says, wow, this is looking really familiar. Then they break through a door and they're in his apartment. The policeman, oops, has played a role in catching the thief. Beautiful. Yes, exactly. So this for me, because I can't know non-duality, can you? The only way it can be intimated is the negation of duality. You can't arrive there because there's nowhere to go. The only way you can arrive there is negating duality. And in the fact is, you don't negate duality. It will do the job itself if there's just seeing, yeah? If there's an awareness, hopefully brought about by your own eyes, but maybe with the help of a pair of non-dual glasses, a pair of non-dual understanding. Once you glimpse it, you don't need the glasses. You'll never forget. Like I never forgot seeing my mother naked when I was young. It was never erased. I didn't have to keep seeing my mother naked. Every time I saw her, most of the time it came up. Yeah, I didn't have to keep, all right, Ma, strip down. No, it was just I saw her and it made a lasting impression. The head is the head. Yeah. It doesn't work differently in spiritual conditions. It's the same. Yeah. You can recognize it just as easily on the street than in the temple, really. You just need the understanding. Put the glasses on, check it out. And hopefully, over time, if you come into these satsangs, you'll be you'll be surprised and quite happy that you're traveling lighter without, you didn't know the exact moment you started to travel lighter, because part of traveling lighter is you forgot yourself. You're not checking in all the time. See how Paul is. It's you would have missed it anyway, because waiting to see it, you'd miss it. That's the whole heaviness, is the waiting to see how light you are. What? Yeah, that's it. That's the heaviness. Waiting, where is it? I called Amazon for that lightness where it should have been here. No tracking number. It's not, I can't. They must have put it on the side of the house. It's like the example I had that time in Australia. We lived on a property of a very well-off person. His family was very well-off. And he had different buildings on this huge property outside of Byron Bay. And we had this like a duplex, like a cabin, but two levels. Yeah. And every day around 5:15, he'd drive around like in a golf cart to all of his residents, telling everyone they better be quiet because he's going to go and entertain peace at 5:30. He was going to go meditate. So he'd be driving around with all this angst and anxiety, trying to say, all right, I'm fucking super anxious now, but I won't be at 5:31. Yeah, it started hilarious. Yeah. So yes. So if anyone has anything, any questions or any, we can take it any direction you want. So,
Robert has his hand up. Robert French.
who?
Robert French.
Yes.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Paul. I wonder if you could riff a little bit on surrender. I've had a few examples of where my back's been against the wall and nowhere to go. Then everything works out. You know, you just surrender to the moment, and that I see that as true surrender. But surrender, yeah.
I like surrender. I like your surrender.
Surrender.
Surrender. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a few examples where it's nowhere to go, but then you just let it go and it all works out. But
Yes.
a lot of the time, I think I'm surrendering to what is, but I think it's just a mind activity because there seems to be an expectation behind it that things will work out. So I don't see that as true surrender, but I can't seem to get past that.
Well, I don't think there's a true surrender, because if you take the many things that Ramana Maharshi said, one of them was, who is there to surrender and to whom? Yeah. So let's say that's the absolute version. And then a lot of what we're running into is the action figure reaches one of its highest heights, which is admitting it's fucked, and it has something to do with it, and then a surrender. Yeah. So I feel that's a perfectly appropriate in the dream life of an action figure. That's a very, very high level for the action figure to come to. It's usually dragged there through many incomprehensible, demoralizing situations. But somewhere along the line, it realizes it has something to do with how things are going. And there can be a break or a surrender. So I feel absolute surrender there isn't any, really. But so we're not talking about the absolute. As an expression, surrender is pretty damn good expression for the action figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Sometimes you have to look at things from street level, not the star level. Yeah, because they're both going on and they both have their meaning. And remember, it's like render unto Caesar's what Caesar's. So I feel surrender is a very, very high condition for the low bearing action figure. I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because everything works because nothing has to work. We're right where we are all the time. Surrender is a pretty good look of something's working. It is. That's what happened with me in recovery. I spent 2 years in a program called Delancey Street in San Francisco, a drug alcohol program, where you live there. And I lived there for 2 years. And when I left, I didn't like the people that much and the principles or what they did, but I had to admit that my life was better with them running it than it ever did with me running it. So it brought me to a begrudging surrender when I entered AA, and AA's recovery. The main principle there is turning one's will and life over to the care of something greater than self. Yeah. And I got it. I got a free sample of what surrender is to this. And so that gave it the possibility of entertaining surrender. It's hard to entertain something you haven't been introduced to. So I got introduced to it, let's say through grace, and then I was able to entertain. So on a lot of levels, I arrived at surrendered, like struggling with alcohol and drugs. There's been a surrendered to that, yes? Yeah,
Yep.
I've been convinced of many things. And they played a role of allowing traveling lighter to stabilize and gain traction here. Yeah. So I'm a real proponent of surrender. I feel, again, I'm feeling, I'm sharing as because I feel it's like a record. There's one record and another record at the same time playing. One's 45 RPM, the other one's 33 RPM. Yes? So they're both playing at the same time. And so what's true in one 45 RPM isn't true in the 33. Yeah? Not being true in the 33 doesn't exclude the effects it being true in the 45, Yeah. So I find surrender is the realm of the action figure, and it's one of the best postures an action figure can take because you're outmatched. Yeah. This whole event is beyond our pay scale. And what we've been saddled as intellect and understanding doesn't do it with this. Yeah. You can't understand the indescribable and the incomprehensible. There's got to what understanding and intellect does here is fail, and in that they have value and success. Yeah. So you give up knowing and getting and experiencing and having and acquiring and achieving, because when you believe you have achieved a state, your head believes it can lose that state. Yeah. It's just that simple. Your wins and failures are going to be on the ping pong table, yeah, of this and that. Just like the Course in Miracles would say, a very drastic statement, which is your greatest successes were your greatest failures, and your greatest failures were your greatest successes. Yeah. So I feel the intellect, its true value in enjoying peace of mind and traveling lighter is to be seen as limited and as in its pursuit of the absolute faulty. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah. It works for me in a lot of ways. When I turn it on to what about the 9th dimension of the 11th dimension universe, it doesn't really go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So I find it's more for comedy than anything else now. Yeah, it's working. So yeah, so I wouldn't put much, discernment and discrimination. It's one of the easiest skillful means that the action figure can mold itself around. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
asking for much. You just admit you're outmatched.
Yeah.
And then what was your result? You observed that everything worked out.
Yeah.
Eureka.
But I'm also,
Eureka.
yeah, but I'm also observing the duality of it too.
Oh, great. Then
Well,
it's
yeah,
working on both. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's great. It works, yet it's not true,
yeah,
but it works. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to become a non-dual martyr, really. No, that absolute will kill you if you try to make it an intellectual pursuit. You're going to lose friends quickly.
yeah,
No one will want to go have coffee with you. There's no one having coffee. Just yeah. Yeah. I like you, Robert. Surrender
thanks, Paul.
away. Yeah.
Good.
Hmm. It's funny that Ramana said that, yet he spoke about surrender quite a lot. And he said basically there's only two options, which is inquiring about the origin of misery, which would be the self-inquiry thing, or just throwing up your hands and admitting you're outmatched and thy will is done. Yeah. So basically the options from his perch, and I'm going to go along with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Robert. Anybody else want to raise their hand?
Awesome, buddy.
Greg. Hi, Greg.
Greg?
Uh,
All right, okay, I'm unmuted. So, yeah, I was wondering if I should share this or not, but it's, to me, it's too good, so I'm gonna share it anyway. So I got up this morning, went out to breakfast with a fellow AA friend. We get to breakfast, we decided that when we get together every so often for breakfast, it should be no complaining, right? So, all of a sudden I found myself, I was complaining about this AA meeting and how I didn't want to be in this meeting, and we're going over the first step. And then I my body, I noticed my body was just, I felt like, man, I'm getting tired. I go, and there's usually a meeting we go to after that. I said, I think I'm going home. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to skip the meeting, right? So, and I mentioned our meeting here, and I said, this is just so much easier. And I'm going, you'll get the point when I'm done. So I go home, I go to bed, and I start having this dream, and I'm in a meeting in this dream. And I start sharing, and whatever I was sharing was funny. I don't know what it was, because it was people laughing, I was laughing. And all of a sudden, the chairperson says, Greg, and I go, yeah. And I look over, and he looks at his watch, he says, keep it under 5 minutes. And I instantly woke up, and I was laughing. It's like this inside compass. No matter how much I get self gets me into trouble following it and listening to it, because really I do like this meeting that I was talking about. It's a great meeting, great people. They're just like me. Before, what it boiled down to, I needed to rest. I've been overworking, right? And it was coming, my unconscious was bringing it up. through complaining. So, but anyways, I'm grateful that happened. So when I woke up, I typed a message to my friend. I told him what happened. I told him about the dream. And he laughed. He says, "Well, good. Come on and join us. The meeting's over, but we're having a brunch." So I went over there and I had a great time, and I got to help some people and be of service, and it's over. It's just interesting though how my sponsor used to say that he doesn't use the word self, but he says you'll never stop the 10,000-pound monkey or gorilla from dancing. He says he's the one that's going to quit the dancing, not you. Anyways, I just wanted to share that. That was pretty funny.
Well, it sounded like it worked. You didn't go to one meeting and you ended up going to another and getting brunch. So there you go.
Yeah, again, getting fed besides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Della W, have you been here before?
No, I never have been here before.
We like to welcome people, so nice to see you, Della.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Mike, anyone?
No.
Okay, so Della, have you heard about Zen Bitch Slap?
Yes, I have.
Listening a little?
No, I never have listened or participated at all, but I just know someone who's here that introduced me to it.
Oh, great. Well, then let me just touch to some obvious points, yes? Yeah. So the non-duality, non means not, duality means two, yes? The two is seen in a lot of ways. Let's say the simple way is there's an underlying event going on for all of us, for most of us, let's say, that allows the ongoing event, which is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, yeah? And there's an aspect of seeing thoughts as if a eye would see a bird. Yeah? So there's these 6 gates of contact that something is engaged in. Now, a lot of us call it us, but really us comes later, yeah? The consciousness or this event, that interface is the beginning of time, yeah? Bammo. And then something arises and then claims whatever we've been brought into contact with, yes? It just claims it. So if there's seeing, it claims there's a seer. If there's hearing, it's a hearer. Feeling, feeler. Thinking, thinker. Doing, doer. Yeah. To the point that now our life doesn't start at seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking. It's thinker, doer, feeler, taster, toucher. Yeah. So the verb that is the activity of life has been replaced with a noun, which was derived from claiming the activities of life. Yeah. And so now, like when we were young, if you weren't in a very violent situation, life was happening. Yes. And then slowly but surely it turned into life's happening to me. So now the me takes preference or emphasis, it's emphasized more than what's happening. Yeah. Now for some of us, it's gone way off. Yeah. Where there's been an obsession with this me or this self that's brought us into lives of addiction or whatever, getting us roughed up pretty well to hopefully bring us back to our senses and at least get a sense of what's before and what comes after instead of living from what comes after as the before. Yeah, do you get it? It's a little feeling. And it's not difficult to question because you are that which is before. So you can see what's implied to be before as not you. And so this is basically, it's almost as if we're not concerned with all the activities, we're concerned with the posture you have when you start the race, yeah? Because maybe you're facing the wrong way. It doesn't matter. You have the greatest Nikes and you got breathability shirts and shorts on and shit like that. If you're pointing the wrong way, what you think is going on isn't. Some other shit's going on. So this is the whole idea of non-duality. And we give up, the attempts to, we just see through them, of trying to understand the incomprehensible. Yes, trying to describe the indescribable. Yeah, and so, all right, that's there. So let's use it where it'll be useful. Let's describe the describable. So you can describe selfing. It's a mental activity that implies there's a self. Yeah. What's self? Well, we've been living under it for a long time. It's called most people's base view, which is self-centeredness, which means everything is seen and collated to pertain to the self. Yeah. You then, when this has started getting noticed, it gives you an idea of what may be the real problem, and it resonates. It's not tinny. It sounds like you're onto something. Yes? I lost her. I can't see her anymore. I think, there she is. Yeah? We're onto something. And so here we are. We're all seemingly onto something and we're having a talk around it. Yeah? So that's it. But the message is never to you and it's never from me. Yeah? Yeah. You are what we're trying to avoid, really. We're trying to talk to what is, not you. And because you are a seeming long-lasting, independent, separate entity, a thing, I know you can't reach that high. You can't block everything. Yes? So in this case of world football, the goalie is outmatched because I don't have to aim at anything to hit the mark, because what you are is always available at all times, no matter what condition you think you're in or not in. So that's where the message is directed to. It's sometimes people think what I say is going over their head, but that's what we're shooting for. We do not want you to get it. Once you get it, that's a whole other can of worms. Yes. In Zen, in some forms of Zen, the highest form of mind is I don't know. Yeah. It's a beautiful state. So, because then you're going to find out, which is much more finding out is so much more powerful than thinking you know. It really is. Yes. So welcome. Nice to see you. Yeah. All right, Mike. Anyone else?
No.
No? All right. Well, let me pick someone else out here. Let's talk to Kerry. He's asleep. Let's sneak up on him and drop something in that gaping mouth. Oh, there. He woke up. He caught me. Let's see Angie, the smiling lady from Ontario. Yeah.
Just sending you a warm hello from a cold place.
Oh, yeah. We're a wet place, receiving the message from the cold place. Yeah. Good to see you, Angie.
Thank you. Same here.
Anyone else? How about Rich? Richard, how have you been? Richard A.
Yeah. Can I say?
How's Edda?
Edda's lying down now. She's okay. She's good. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, she has insomnia, she says. But
Oh, she has insomnia.
yeah,
Oh.
sleep so well.
Well, I've heard these talks are very good for people with insomnia. No, it's true. Yeah. Some of the best calls I get is Man, I put you on and I'm asleep like that. That's true. Well, Richard, I'm happy to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it just seems to be okay when I don't think about it. Like now, it's okay. You know, what's wrong with right now?
Well, of course.
It's okay.
Of course.
You know, nothing's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too simple for words, really. But words come.
Yes. Yeah, and its simplicity is very persistent. Yeah. Very persistent. Yeah. It's sort of like you can't put legs on the snake, so to speak. Yeah. Or lipstick on the pig. Yeah. It's just yeah. Well, I'm happy to see you again, Richard. Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
You got a hand from Beth Higgins?
Beth Higgins? All right.
Yeah.
Hi.
From now on, we want the middle name also. So it's I
Oh,
want to know all the names.
well, that's the,
No,
well, I use my middle name.
I'm joking. I'm joking. What's where are you?
I'm in, well, Norfolk in England.
But I'm actually looking for you on the Zoom.
Oh,
Oh, she's next to Mike. Hold on. All right. All right.
I was just wanting to ask you about,
Oh, there she is. All right. Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I see you now.
Okay. I just wanted to ask what you had to say about, I spend a lot of time trying to manage or understand a condition that I was given of ADHD. Don't know if you're familiar with it. And it takes up a lot of my time. And I think I sort of really, it sort of does create a sort of identification sort of pattern. And I'm never quite sure where the symptoms of the condition sort of end, and whether, I don't really know how to formulate the question. Whether sort of doing things to help the condition is something I should be engaging with. Sorry, I'm not making myself very clear.
No, I think I have a feeling around it. Yeah. Sometimes when you're putting your attention on the condition, it actually enlarges the condition.
Yeah.
Yes. And then an identity gets presented. Yes.
But life can be a bit, difficult. So I sort of feel it's healthy to attempt to, eat well and exercise, which is difficult for me to do, regular things on a routine, in a routine way.
What is it? What is it exactly? The ADH?
Well, it's an attention deficit. I'm very inattentive. It's a condition that's developed in the brain when you're very young, and most people think it's genetic. But have you heard of Gabor Mate?
But isn't that happening generally now? They say that the normal American kid has the attention span of a rabbit.
Yeah. Well, it is a condition.
Like less than 3.
Yeah, it's not just, it's sort of a lot of different things. I mean, it is a condition, but yeah, I agree. A lot of the way that everything happens is very inattentive. I don't know.
I don't know. Excuse me a second, hun, though. I'm not intimate with it as an experience.
I can send you
as something that's been named and given as a trait in me. No. So
yeah.
But I can't speak to that, but I can speak to that whatever's going on, the head in another compartment is going to claim it and use it for an identifying
Yeah.
factor. Yes.
Well, that's really, yeah, that's helpful. Yes.
And it's not you doing it. It's mechanical. You're not involved in it at all.
Yes.
Serious, other than the awareness of it or the lack of awareness of it. But there's always awareness, but there may be a lack of awareness of it or an awareness of it. Yeah, that's the role we have. Now, mechanically, there's a aspect of the mental process, which is to claim whatever is going on and use it to refer back to its storyline, which it's you. Yes. And
Mm.
so I've seen people have an intimate, ferocious experience of being possessed by something and driven to do some insane shit. And yet a couple hours later, the same habit of thinking they were the doer dominates. And now now they get the extra benefit of it by tons of guilt and shame for what shit they thought they did, which they never did. Yeah. These things are not personal. This is what's happening. So what's seeing it is there's always the light on, always the light on. The mental state can distract it, lead it into different lenses and shit like that, but the baseline is awareness. Yeah. So wherever you are, that baseline's available, and there's an awareness of the inattentiveness. So you have become aware of the inattentiveness, and then that inattentiveness has been given name and form, which has its own dangers. Yes, because yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Thanks.
it's tricky. I feel like every one of us could have had a terminal illness that came and went unnoticed. Yeah. But once there's name and form given, it's a different beast in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Yeah.
It did help. It helps having a diagnosis because it explained a lot of behavior.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, well, I've asked one teacher about it, and they just said, well, there is no ADHD. It's just, I just get really confused.
I know, but see, this is, yes,
It's like
that's
saying
the
you don't-
absoluteness.
Yeah.
We're not living in the absolute. We're living in a dreaming. Yeah. And in the dreaming, it has a lot of meaning. So it's, yeah, there's an absolute scoffing at it. And yet, on a level, it may be necessary to do something about it. Yes. Here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a believer in this place of appearances can have effects. Yeah. As they say in the Course in Miracles, there's causeless effects. Causeless effects are dream effects. Yes. So they're not actually happening, but they produce an effect as if they are. Just like when we're dreaming at night, that tiger scares the shit out of us, but when we wake up, it doesn't scare the shit out of us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, was that tiger real? No, it seemed to be real. Was that pretty much how it would have felt if it was real? Pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not a believer of absolute in the temporary.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm not. Yeah. So, yeah. What I believe will help is not going after the fact, but before the fact. So if you can
Yeah.
see, have an understanding of what actually the head does with this seeming condition,
Yeah.
it may bring relief from the condition.
So it's not like maybe are you saying I'm not the one that needs to help me manage the condition? I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
It's not,
Exactly.
I'm not having to do it. You know, I notice things and I may do some exercise some week or do something that I find, because the brain finds it really boring to do repetitive routine tasks, if you know, and do things alone is I find, yeah, but yeah. Mm.
Well, this is like what we were talking about earlier here, surrender. You surrender that you're outmatched, and then maybe you'll do shit that you were not wanting to do. Things will
Yeah,
change.
I've been,
Take the pressure off of something,
yeah,
you know, by saying, I'm never going to do it, you know, and then like someone just said earlier, we vow not to complain, and then they're complaining at breakfast. Yes,
yeah.
this bullshit. You see through that, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to fucking exercise,
I've
but
been saying
maybe
the
tomorrow I
serenity,
will.
yeah, I've been saying the serenity prayer. I find that quite useful.
Yeah, try whatever works. Yes, and you don't know how things are gonna work, man. People get well by doing nothing. People get well by doing a lot. You never know. Yeah, I'm in a camp of. I think we tend to try to know too much, and
Yeah,
not knowing the power that we give to things by having them named and put into a form.
yeah,
There's a lot of, we are incredibly powerful, and a lot of that power is producing effects that surprise us. Yes, but we read basic Hinduism where they talk about the mistake of the head arises and then everything's given name and form, and now that name and form affects us. Yeah, that's how we're rolling things on a larger scale. Yes, it's good to bring that in to the smaller causes and effects, because they're all determined and and overridden by a larger scale. Yes, so
thanks.
so it doesn't matter the particular thing that you may be suffering identification with. There's the identification with it. It doesn't have to do it with any particular thing. It's with all things. Yes, There's people that identify as an addict, they identified as a recovered addict. Just identifying, yes, on and on and on and on and on. Now you're not doing that. Hallelujah. Yes, and you're not that which is identified. Hallelujah. Yeah, that gives that. That's like, instead of trying to break through that one door, you see there's a huge opening in the back. Yeah. Then the meaning of that one door loses its meaning, because there's a lot of ways of being out of what you're not in. So
I love it when you laugh.
yeah, I do too, really. I've had a morning. It's been one of those type of mornings. I'm in a sense of ecstatic joy. Ah, Amelia and I love this one. I don't want to recommend the movie because there's a little graphic nakedness in it, but it's a movie called Sabura. It's an Italian film, and they have this lovely soundtrack, and we have it on, and it's one of the most emotive, like being lifted up the stairway to heaven type of feeling. It was one of those mornings. Amelia could sense it. She came in. I was in my little, and then she hugged me, and it was like, yeah. So, yeah, these things. We've been unavailable so long, we don't miss it, really. Yeah. We're so keen on looking for, what we're missing, the bigger thing, in a sense. This is an obvious condition of, you're not always available at all times. You're not of service by any effort, just by your nature, which is, your nature is being, which makes you available and present. And when you're available and present, you're of service. Yeah. There's no you in there. There's a recognition of the obviousness. Have you ever been out of any moment that you've been trying to get in? No. Yeah. You've never been out of any moment ever. You are the essence of the moment. This whole idea of some judging what you're looking like while you're in the moment sure looks like you're out of the moment. To who? To you. The you that you're not. That's what it looks like. It. Yeah. The fact is you're never out of any moment. So why the hell are we busy trying to get in? We must believe something that's not true. Yeah. That has value to recognize there's belief, not you and I, there's belief in shit that's not true. Yeah. Hopefully the understanding of non-duality will bring those into stark contrast, because a lot of other stuff we've done hasn't. Yes. A lot of other stuff became an accomplice to the blindness. Hopefully non-duality puts an end to that. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm not speaking to you. I'm just speaking. Yeah. 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 So much is premised on the idea that you could be in something, yeah, that you're not, yeah, and you could be out of something that you're always in. Most of the, they could have a Monopoly game and it would be different for all intents and purposes, never, but there'd be different currencies, lira, peso, but it's the same fucking game, Monopoly, yes? But it would be, yeah. This whole movement of this message is that which comes after is implied to be before. You can't get out of an imaginary place. Most of the movement here is trying to get into what you can't be out of and trying to get out of what you can't be in. Yeah. And you can go into all the particulars, but if you bring it back, that's basically it. Yeah. When that gets adjusted and you don't do the adjusting, when that gets adjusted, you don't spend any time looking for what can't be found. Yeah. I do not believe I've been out of any moment. I just don't. I just can't see it. Yeah. So I'm not really working to get into the moment. Yeah. Therefore, there's an availability and a presence, not through acquiring or achieving, but recognizing what's not true to a point where the system collapsed sufficiently enough to at least get clear about that you're here. Yeah. Really, the building blocks of everything are usually simple, and this is quite simple. Yeah. And how many people actually read the whole book through of how to get into the moment? Probably none of us. Yet you buy the second edition, how to really get into the moment. And then you'll go to a live seminar and try to watch and mimic how people get into the moment for a nice fee. Yeah. And maybe if you did it long enough, it would start working. So now you start going to retreats of how to be in the moment. All the while, without knowing it, the head is using all that activity to fucking validate the idea you're out of the moment. Yeah. Which comes first? The validation that you're out of the moment. That's why it doesn't work trying to get into the moment. Because it's already worked to verify the out of the moment. Adding more doesn't work. You have to see the fundamental move. If you don't, your auxiliary correction moves are going to be used for the same thing. Yeah, you'll have that. The statement that's going to override the whole 2 weeks of meditation retreat is "you're the meditator" is going to be started right before you even hit the cushion. Your head is going to say "you're the meditator." Yeah. Does it mean it's going to work? I don't know. You'll have to see, but it's going to attempt to do that. That's what it does. It's mechanical. Yeah. It's not like looking out to get you. That's what it does. Whatever you do, what's ever going on, it comes up and claims it to support its narrative. Yeah. Yeah. And when the mistake is established, the next auxiliary corrective moves reinforce the mistake. They don't correct it. Without a clear understanding, they do not correct it. They will keep reinforcing. Don't believe me. Look in your own life. See it. Our corrective steps do not correct because we're still thinking we're the one who took the corrective steps. Yeah. This is what Ramana, in a way, very loosely paraphrasing, is called the problem. Yeah. This idea of a non-existent thing being that which is existence, wanting to get salvation for itself, the spiritual practices themselves, let's say that maybe they think they're using it to correct something, whatever, are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? More time, more effort, more thought? Is that how? No, that's been seen to be false. Yeah. Then what are we going to do? Less effort, less time? No. Just see it. All see it. See the mechanical glory of it. Yeah. And have absolutely nothing to do with you at all. Beautiful. Yeah. Doesn't the head get you? You're a meditator, and then you stop meditating. Now there's guilt and shame for not meditating. So it double bangs you. Yeah. It reinforces the idea of the meditator, and then it bangs you when you stop meditating. Because as a meditator, you should be meditating, and now you have guilt and shame. How are you going to get out of that? How? Tell me. Yeah. There is a solution. I know. So the dog is here. The dog is, they can't see it anyway. All you see is blinding light. The dog is waiting outside. All right. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Yes, but I want to mention that David Bitterman in chat said that he and his wife are diagnosed with ADHD, and he's an old timer, by the way, Beth, with us, and he'd be willing to talk with you after, or you can email me to connect you to, and I'm sure there are other people that would join in, like me, in the conversation. But yes, you have Angie by chat, and then Hari, and then Gary Clark. So Angie is next.
By chat.
She couldn't raise her digital hand. So Hari and Gary would not have known that she raised her hand, so I had to mention that.
All right.
So that's me.
Well, who wants to
Hello.
go first?
Angie.
Come on, Angie. We're not going anywhere. We won't leave till after all the questions.
I just had a short share about how seeing helps the dream character. And you say always that as we dream ourselves out of the dream becomes happier. So it's happening when, so for me, it's happened recently, even on the physical level, on the body level, so first, just talking about the emotional level, when I became a bit anxious about being put in a certain situation in the future, the prospect of doing that. And then it didn't take me long to realize, hey, it's not happening now. Why am I thinking about that? Why is that me? That's not me, you know? So I could just see through that. I mean, whatever was seeing, whether that was the policeman or whatever, it still helped to have that understanding of that concept and just relax into it. Whatever is going to happen at that time. And then whenever we get there, we'll see it, whatever. So, you know, it's just the whole anxiety and the whole thing about that particular stage in the future, it just dropped away. I didn't have to do anything, just say that it's not me and it's not now. So why bother with it? And even on the physical layer, when I didn't feel well this morning, and I sort of realized I was holding on to that identity. Oh, I'm coming down with something. And then I said, you know, why is that me? How is that me? That's not me. You know, just got up and did some things around the house, and all of a sudden, this body feels better. Just for that, not identifying with the body becoming weaker, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to
so
notice
now-
these things.
So now there's other possibilities available that didn't seem to be available earlier. Exactly. Yes?
Yeah,
Why is that they didn't seem to be available? Because self-centeredness is very myopic and very tunnel vision. Yes?
exactly.
And it's assumptions and its conclusions are based in time, where the solution is not of time. Yes.
Yes, and as you said, when something is yours, already it has gains a lot more importance, and you know what for.
Yes.
You know, so-
Exactly. This is the thing with the giving name and form and stuff like that. It's just we bring things into, we're powerful, yeah, and a lot of we're trying to be powerful, but we are powerful. And if you would get the diagram of actually what's happening, you'd see that power and how it's distributed and stuff. And yeah, and just telling the truth about, wow. I feel as an action figure that I've been moved most of my life, yeah. Like I'm not really concerned about the sail, but the sail is what's capturing what's moving me, yes, with these winds. And I've had two, let's say, basic winds. I've had this addictive wind, and I've had this higher power wind on the action figure terrain, yes. But both, I was driven either way. Either I was driven by that wind or I was driven by the other wind, but there was going to be a driving. Something was going to drive this event or move it. Yes, that's true. Now, the flavors or the effects or the tendencies are different, but the wind aspect is the same. Yeah, yeah. And so it's almost like we're a sentient flute or a sentient trumpet. We can tell, we don't see what's playing us, but we can tell what it is by its playing us. Yeah. I can't turn around as a trumpet and see who's playing, Miles or whatever, but I can intimate it by what's playing, because it becomes familiar in a sense. I felt it, and there's a recognition. And then there's a lot of reactions that arise, like gratitude and honor and AWE or something like that. That is really a new way of seeing for the action figure. So it develops a new way of seeing based on the wind and the recognition of the winds blowing through. Yes. And
So I remember I heard once that Nisargadatta Maharaj said, if you only have one practice, just look at the end of the day, how much was it that you have done during the day? How much was done by you and how much it just was done through
Yeah.
you?
Yes, exactly. And so obviously the storyline tries not to budge. And I saw early on, it's pointless to try to convince the storyline to adapt a new story. It has to be fit around the new story. Yeah. It doesn't become the new story. Yeah. It's the old story gets fit around the new story, and now the new story starts bleeding through the old story. Yeah. The old story doesn't get it. It's just mechanical. Yeah. So this is the point of a lot of the shares here. We try not to waste time talking to that which can't be convinced. Yes, because it's already convinced in its own programming. So this is sort of what they would call spiritual bypassing, which I totally into. Yeah, totally into it. Yes. So basically recognizing, because what causes us, not us, but there's still a hook, because the underlying conclusion that we're brought to by the head is that we had something to do with it. And it's such a relief when you realize you don't have anything fucking to do with it.
That's right. The
Seriously.
thoughts, the thoughts still appear, as you said, in the old story, but that story is short-lived if you see that those thoughts are just there, you know, they're not yours, they don't define you. That's so
Yes,
that old
this is
story
what
is
happens.
very
But
short-lived.
you don't have to try to repaint the old painting. The new one's going to bleed through, and it's going to use the other colors. But when you look at it, it's what the head would emphasize by that painting won't be emphasized now. Yes? Yeah. This isn't like a cover-up tattoo. It's more like taking that tattoo and then producing something out around it that takes the meaning out of the old tattoo. Yeah. The old tattoo is not going to give itself new meaning. That's going to be more of the old tattoo. That's the whole point. Recognize the point is, a lot of people, a lot of us, the amount of light that would be allowed in gets stopped by this sense of feeling like there's volition and I'm doing it. Yes, I'm doing this shit. I'm the one who's selfing. You're not. Yes, this is all manufactured. Yes. So thank you, Angie.
Thank
All
you.
right, Gary, and then Hari, or Gary, whoever
Hari,
wants to
yeah.
go first.
Hari's next.
He last. All right, Hari.
All right. Quick movie check. Was that Saburra? Sabura? I wanna watch it.
Subura.
right.
Subura. There's
Question
a TV
one.
show and there's a movie. There's some hot little activity in the beginning of the movie. So
Okay. All right. Anything that puts you in that good of a mood, I want to watch it. It's funny that
if you want a PG version,
what?
skip the first half hour. If you want a PG version, skip the first half hour.
As long as it's not horribly violent, I'm okay with it.
Oh, there's some violence. It
Yeah.
has to do with mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what's really interesting, I thought I was going to be taking the discussion somewhere else because I was going to ask about spiritual bypassing, and there you went. Because I wanted you to shoot holes in the part of my narrative that tells me when I feel like I'm free. You know, when you said something like, you're trying really hard to get out the door right in front of you, and then you realize that the whole back wall doesn't exist and you can move out there and it's fine. I felt that in my bones, and then right away the thought came in, oh yeah, the non-dual spiritual bypassing thing. It's like if I experience freedom, I have this artillery fire that comes from the self that I'm not saying, yeah, you're just using that to bypass your problems. Even though I don't believe that that's true, it's kind of like I wanted you to shoot arguments in that ahead of time because it's something that bothers me.
I'm gonna shoot arguments in you, honey, not that. I'm gonna shoot arguments in you.
All right, great.
Yeah. So the you that was free is the reason why the artillery starts firing.
Yep.
Without the claiming it, that it's you that's free, the artillery wouldn't be triggered.
All right.
And now you want to stop the artillery, but as the one who was free. Yes?
That's
Look
correct.
at the one first. Yes. See, this is this little ploy. It doesn't realize this establishes the artillery and its direction. If there's no you that's free, the artillery will be fucking paper. Yes, yes. It'll have nothing to hit. It will have nothing to land. It's like the statement in the course. Your invulnerability, your attack thoughts are attacking your invulnerability. Yes? What makes you vulnerable and open to attack is the claiming of it. The producing of the one who's free is what allows it calls in the attack, so to speak. Yes.
It all happens so quickly.
Of course, you can't
Yeah.
stop it. You see, it's not you.
Yeah.
This is not about stopping it. This is not about I want the freedom, but I don't want the cannonball. There's no wiggle way. You can't wiggle out of it. The only greatness of the message is you're not in it. Yes? Because this idea that you think you could be in it, that's why you don't get the true clarity of it. Because you think you're missing the you that thinks it's in it. Yeah? That's the point. We don't care about the surrounding. If you see the you that's in it is not you, there's a big out. There's a big out from that fucking you, that in. There is a big out. The biggest out is not being in. That's the biggest out. All your effort to try to get out, the biggest out is not to be in. Yes? So the not to be in started with the you are free, you feeling free, and then the cannonballs start firing. Yeah?
Right. Right.
They didn't fire at freedom. They fired because you. Yeah. So I'll punch a hole in that. Yes.
Great.
Forget
Thank
the
you.
other shit. You don't
Yeah.
have to punch a hole in that. Just punch a hole in Hari.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I do.
People should be down on their knees being grateful for spiritual bypass. That's the
Why?
best. That's the biggest thing you need to bypass is spirit. For sure. The spirituality. It's the biggest problem. If I'm in the third lane, everyone has to be in the third lane. There's no commuter lane. Everyone's in the third lane. And if I'm driving an old fucking Fiat with a 2-cylinder, everyone has to drive like that. Spiritual bypass. Hallelujah. Oh, you haven't done your enough work.
I haven't done enough work, Paul. It's clear.
Oh, not you, honey. That's what your head says. Your head says that to you all day. You haven't done enough work. Taking dark retreats and dawn retreats and dusk retreats. And I love it, man. I like people doing stuff. I can live vicariously through them.
Mm.
I do. I mean, I love it. We have a beautiful example. Don O won't mind me, where Don O didn't know about should he or shouldn't he go on a Vipassana retreat. So he went on the Vipassana retreat and realized he didn't have to take a Vipassana retreat. That was a valuable Vipassana retreat. That's how it had to happen for him. It had to trigger that way. Some people can get it before they go to the Vipassana, but the point is getting it, yeah, in a way. Yeah, yeah. And then maybe you'll go on a Vipassana retreat and there won't be that fucking you looking to get everything. And you may get some incredible physical, emotional, nervous byproducts that you'll have a lot of gratitude for. Not a frustration that you missed the fucking celestial mark, but you'll just feel better as an action figure. Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I love listening to you is because you talk about the whole mindset around, if I just did another this or that, if I had just done this, if I had gone to Tiruvannamalai 2 weeks earlier, all that. And there is a special problem that goes to those of us that are on this path that have been engaged for decades, still think you start to enter this special club of like long-term seekers. Maybe I've got like a genetic defect and I'll never actually really get lastingly free. I'll have glimpse after glimpse and it'll just never stay, right? It's this interesting category that I don't know if if you're in your 20s and 30s, it's like, yeah, you've got like, you still have time, but it's scary to be like approaching AARP age and you're like been on the path for so long. It's its own special neurosis. It's a really,
I know. Yes. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's why you're incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Really, because people can learn from you and maybe get off the bus at the next stop
Yeah.
instead of having to take the whole circuit. But who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And yet you got tons of shit out of it all, but I've seen it because I don't. You have to see that second aspect of the selfing that thinks it's the observer and the witness. You have a very sublime observer and witness that's really burrowing a new, able in you. Yes. It's been fed by all of this stuff. It's claimed all of those events you did and experiences, and it's mutated it for its own purpose. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. We need the spiritual bypass that which thinks it's spiritual.
Yeah.
We're not talking about bypassing things that have to happen. We want to bypass the one who thinks it's spiritual. That's the one we need to bypass.
Right.
Yeah. Because then they get sophisticated and sublime, and man, it's torture, right?
Yeah, it's a little creepy, I mean, I think I'm going to be all right, but every once in a while I become aware of the fact that my mechanism is growing extra tentacles possibly, or just more
Because
sophisticated.
you are all right. You are all right without the necessary assistance from all these activities. You are. But again, it's easier said than sat in, so to speak. So, but
Right.
keep coming back, and we'll make it. You'll have a different opinion of spiritual bypassing if you come here. We're all for it. Yeah. Could you imagine if I'd have to go through all the trauma that this body met in this life? This one, forget about it. I'd be in fucking seminars and fucking things for years and years and years. I mean, I've been shot at, I've been fucking tons of shit happened. I mean, my body, it took me years to get okay walking through immigration, security in Australia flying in. My body would be fucking nervous wreck because I thought I was still, a fugitive of Interpol, done shit for 15, 20 years. It still was vibrating with the feeling of I deserve a whole lot of shit coming my way. Yeah. Thank God I had heard this understanding that wasn't me. Yeah. And sometimes you may not get the instant gratitude that you may be, or gratification you may be looking for. But in the long run, dogged awareness wins out. Yeah. Just a basic recognition. I'm not that. I can go through all the terrains. Yes. It can withstand the weather and everything. It can. You're on solid ground in non-duality. You are. You are really. Yeah. So it's so assured of itself, it doesn't promote itself. It's a negation of other shit. It figures once you get clear about this shit, when you hit this, it'll probably become the last answer for you, which it's been for me. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Thanks,
Yes.
Paul.
So I feel completely, I can be as much not me, traumatized or not, really. Maybe that isn't the case for a lot of people, but my not being me isn't because there's less trauma or more trauma now. It's just a fact. Yeah, no matter how traumatized me is, or how less traumatized I'm not me. Yeah, it's in other words, the condition isn't waiting for the absence to be absence of shit. Yeah, it's seeing it's absent with shit or no. Yes. Yeah. The patient's doesn't see through the doctor's eyes. The doctor's eyes see the patient, so to speak. Yes. The patient doesn't have to be super well to be what it already is. It doesn't. It can be fucked up in a lot of levels. That's why people, hey, can I ask you advice about relationship? I said, probably not that wise. You know what I mean? I mean, can you fix my car? No, I can't. I don't. How do we get on the email? I'm lost. Yeah. Man, before being lost was such a bummer. Now it's fucking funny. What the hell? What happened? Did the loss change? No. The reaction to it? Yes. Yeah. There you go. All right, Harry. I love you, honey. Take it easy with yourself.
Thank you, Paul.
Gary, bring Gary into the mix.
Hey, Paul, thank you. Great stuff. Thank you. Good. I'm just wanting to appreciate this strategy that you've spoken about that self uses to imply that it's already existed before there was
Yes.
even a noticing. I thought that is a brilliant strategy. There's no way around that. I can't turn around quick enough to see if something's already done. What a great trap if you were going to set one. There'd be no way out of it in time.
That's right. It's not bad. Yeah. Yes.
This is the
Well, the
only.
thing is, in this trap, the biggest in is trying to get out. That's the biggest in.
Yeah.
It is. It's the biggest in of it. Yeah.
It's like the Chinese handcuffs. It's like pulling
Totally.
no way out.
Totally. It doesn't matter if you look away or you act as if any activities tightening it. Yes, it's a very tricky move. And look at it yourself. Does your head, is it worried about becoming self? No, it already says you are one. It starts from that premise. And then riff what I will be in the future or yes, but it's always, you don't even have a say if a self should be built or not. It's you're stuck with the whole fucking building already.
That's brilliant. If you were going to make a trap, would that be it?
Well, it needs time to do it. That's why we have the time, I think. It needs time to make this shit up. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. I don't know that I've heard that anywhere else.
Well,
a great hearing.
Fantastic. I'm happy that I'm striving to be unique amongst the the plethora of non-duality teachers. They all sound the same. They all say the same thing. All right, anyone,
Thanks.
Mike?
No other
I think we're
hands
going to
showing.
end soon. It's getting late. Eh?
No other hands showing.
All right, let's say goodbye. I think we got to have a coffee. You want a coffee, Tej? Sure. We'll make some coffees. All right. You're going to get the best coffee we have, which we don't usually offer if there's more than 3 people. So you'll get the best we got. Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's. Chris, nice to see you, Chris. Yeah, all the time. Chris is my main man. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Chris, when he got to Italy, he got lost at the airport. He had to pay $165 euros to get to the retreat center. That's why we love Chris. He had a big smile. He flew with people that he knew, and somehow everyone got lost. Yeah. Well, you're never gonna be lost in Zen Bitch Slap, Chris. Never. You're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Slap. Yes, with great love and gratitude and respect. I bow to you, Chris. Seriously, no joking. Yes. And then there's Mike. Hey, Mike, how are you? No. Mike is fantastic. We miss him. I wish he was out here in the best coast, the left coast.
Hmm.
All right. We got John C. Nice to see you there, John. Sort of in the dark. You look like a depraved monk or something. Friar Tuck in there. All right, we've got Gary. Gary, thank you for yeah. Don't do anything with what you share. Just let it do its thing. Yeah. Yeah. There's
Okay.
nothing to do. The knowledge of awareness that's brought about through awareness is disarming. It's not a call to arms to know more. Yeah. I don't feel so. All right, Angie, as always, it's very happy to see you, Angie, and your condition of smiling getting very dominant. It's nice. Yeah, there she goes. Robert French, my main man in New Zealand. Say surrender again, Robert, please.
Surrender.
Yeah, surrender. I love that. Thank you, bro. Brian, nice to meet you, Brian. Brian T.
Thank you so much
Pleasure.
for having me. This was very lovely. I'm very grateful.
Oh, great. Well, we're grateful you're here too. There's Vlad. Vlad, Portugal looks cold. Are you in Russia, Vlad? Oh, in Portugal. Yeah. Okay. Nice to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's quite cold in Portugal.
How are you?
Rainy.
Wow. Yeah. Can see that. All right. Well, that's one less place I could compare to where we are right now. Doesn't look any different. All right. We got Michael Sherman. There he is. He still will not cough up that canary he swallowed a while ago. It's okay. Found a new life in there. Yeah. We got Jack. Nice to see Jack. Deborah. Hey, Jack, did you lost some weight, Jack, eh? Yeah, good. Good. Deborah. Yeah. Oh, Edda, Jesus. Richard, someone just resurrected behind you. I thought she had passed away. It's it's a miracle. Nice to see you, Edda. Nice to see you, Rich. That would have scared me if I didn't know Etta. I was like, wait a minute. All right, we've got Michael. We got them. John S. in Florida. Nice to see you, John. Brandon, as always. Gene T. Yep, Gene T from South Africa. Yeah, no, Cape Town, not Cape Cod. Yeah. We've got Alan M. Nice to see Alan. He's in a blackout there. Kim W. Nice to see you, Kim. Mia, I don't know where Mia is. I don't know. She's got somewhere. Kerry woke up from his nap. A brand new day. Tariq from Dover, New Jersey. Always a pleasure. Johannes, nice to see you, my friend. Sherry, we're going to get, some of us are going to get together January 21st. We're going to be in Palm Springs. We're going to do the Zoom, but we'll have a live meeting there. So if anyone's interested, who to get in touch with, I don't know. Michael. Anu, nice to see you, Anu. Yeah. Esteban, nice to see you. Beth, thanks for hanging in with us today, Beth. Appreciate it. And there's some people want to talk with you if you're interested. Yep. We got, let's see, we've got them. Let's see. We have Bruce and Norman, a friend. Oh, nice to see you, Norman. Very happy you dropped in. Yep. Tommy in Ireland. Hari in Portland. Nice to see you, Hari. Greg, thank you for the share. Della, thanks. Nice to meet you, hon. If you didn't like the meeting, just whoever who brought you here, get mad at them, all right? David B, nice to see you, Dave. Mike, this is the position I usually recognize Mike C. He's taking a nap now. Don't disturb him. Roman, as always, yeah, saddled up to the radiator. Yeah, there he is. Our Zoom is seasonal. I can see where Roman is. And then as the winter goes on, he's closer to the radiator. Here's Amelia. She's not that far. Nice to see you. John, previously known as Jed. Yeah. Zoe, as always, nice to see you. I think, Jed, next time I'm gonna look at the thing you sent me and we can do a riff on it, that Meister Eckhart, that little piece, yeah? We'll do it on Wednesday night, not the recovery meeting, Wednesday night. Zoe, nice to see you. Yep, there she is. Bruce, did I get Bruce? Yes. Yep, nice to see you, Bruce. David B. I think that's it. Yes. Oh, Susan K. and Latte Lady. We got Miranda. Nice to see you. We got Matthew. Thank you so much, Matthew, for all the support. You doing all right?
Doing great, Paul. And here's my wife, Paul. She wants to say hello.
Hey, guys.
So yeah, we're doing great,
what's your
Paul.
name?
This is Ashley.
Hi, guys.
Oh, Ashley. Nice to meet you, Ashley.
Nice to meet
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm doing great,
Fantastic.
Paul. Hope to see you one day at the church soon.
Yes, good. Make sure you look at the website to see if we're at the church.
Yeah, I'll do that. Take care, everyone.
We got Miranda. Nice to see you, Miranda. All's well today? Yes? Yes, good. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Susan K., thank you. Zoe, everybody. See you later.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Good night.